are truly being felt here in Iran. So many people we talked with talked about the prices going up dramatically here, inflation at rates of 40% in some places. So there's no question that people are feeling these sanctions. The question is whether or not the leadership is feeling it and whether they're going to do anything about it. The supreme leader here saying that America needs to prove its goodwill. The president saying they're not going to go to the negotiating table with a gun to their head by America. All of that alluding to the economic sanctions. So the people here feeling it, but whether or not that's going to press leaders as they head to that negotiating table next week is the big question this morning, George.
That is the question, Christian. And overnight, President Ahmadinejad did concede, however, that it has been a very difficult year for the Iranian economy.
Oh, it's been catastrophic. I mean, all our reporting, or just talking to individuals in Iran, it's been catastrophic for the people. But as David says, it has less affected the regime. And what it has done is militarized Iran. In other words, now everything is viewed in the parameter of war. So this is why the Revolutionary Guard in Iran are now taking over. It's yet another excuse for them to take over so many of the institutions. Everything from the press to information to everything is being looked at through the parameter of war. But I think what's interesting is that there was a very interesting conversation with the Iranian ambassador here, the only senior Iranian ambassador or official here, who said that we can have talks. We don't want it with a gun to our head, that's what they always say, but we don't have red lines except that the United States has to accept our rights under the NPT, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is to enrich. So the question really is, will the Congress, will the political sphere here in the United States allow real diplomacy, allow the administration to conduct a diplomacy which is not just sticks and has some painful maybe, but carrots, to have a real diplomatic negotiation.
And the tension there, though, Congressman, I want to bring this to you, is that the fear that these talks are just a stalling tactic.
Well, the most productive thing we've gotten with talks so far is an agreement for more talks. That stalling, that time, has cost us in their development of their nuclear weapons program. They just recently put in more sophisticated centrifuges to spin up highly enriched uranium that could be weapons.
At the same time, though, they agree to limits on the enriched uranium.
But here's the problem. Think about the consequence of a nuclear Iran. This isn't France. This isn't Great Britain. This isn't rational actors. These folks have committed acts of terror. They've killed as many as 600 or contributed to the killing of 600 U.S. soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan by introducing weapons systems and training and money. Bulgaria is now going to the EU to try to get at least some tougher sanctions on Hezbollah through Iran because of their they attempted to kill the Saudi ambassador in Washington, D.C. Imagine what a nuclear Iran looks like. A nuclear arms race in the Middle East, I guarantee you, will start. That's very destabilizing.
If the president means what he has said repeatedly and clearly, a nuclear Iran means war with the United States. The president has said he does not endorse containment of Iran. They will not have, he says, nuclear weapons. So if they cross that threshold, there must be some red line somewhere that means not a nuclear Iran, but a war with Iran.
Well, I mean, there's other options up to war.
Well, I think the worst possible scenario would be a nuclear-armed Iran. I think that has to be stopped by any and all measures.
Which the president has pledged to do.
Well, I'm glad he has. I think it's a good thing that he's said that and done that. And I think that we need to work in consultation with our European allies to make sure that that doesn't happen. I was going to say they've been bad players straight on. They're not negotiating, in my opinion, in good faith. And I think we have to understand that.
Well, the real question is what to do. We can talk about this until we're blue in the face, which we have done for decades now. The most painful sanctions ever imposed on Iran are underway right now. And as you see, they're not affecting necessarily their continued desire to enrich and other such things. So the real question is, what does one do? And you say irrational, but the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dempsey, has said publicly that he believes Iran is a rational actor. So really, this is not an argument. It's really
let me rephrase what he was talking about. In terms of direct military conflict with the United States, that isn't being rational, it's being sane. They're going to lose that fight.
Correct.
But their committed acts of terrorism around the world is not rational. The fact that they're trying to get after our financial institutions here through cyber attacks is not a rational act.
But the real issue is, what does one do beyond the sanctions?
And I want to get to that because we have to move on. I just want to ask you a very quick question, yes or no. Will there be a military conflict with Iran this year, or do you believe there's another way to block their program?
I think there are other ways to block their program, and we should pursue them vigorously.
Okay, Congressman, thank you very much. Thanks to you, Christian. I know you're going to stick around